Hey guys, JT here, and for those of you who have been listening to the show for a while, you're aware that we are trying to get on the Star Wars Celebration podcast stage this April in Orlando, and we think we know how to do that, and that's by getting a whole bunch of support from you guys online. We need likes and clicks and shares and downloads and all that, so go check us out on Facebook and Spreaker and Twitter and all that. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, and help us get to Star Wars Celebration to broadcast live this April in Orlando. Thanks for the support, guys, and may the Force be with you. Warning: the following podcast contains irreverent humor, exceptionally nerdy opinions, potential cursing, and plenty of love for the prequels. If any of the preceding offends you, please turn off this podcast immediately, and may the Force be with you.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
You can't use that word. Only we can use that word.
Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
You're tuned in to the Nerfherder Council, an official supporter of Star Wars Celebration Orlando, happening this April 13th through the 16th at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida, featuring your hosts, JT. I mean, they killed his mother. What's he supposed to do? Send him a postcard? I wish you wouldn't have done that. AJ.
I'm on Facebook, man! Hey, Mom, check me out!
Steve.
Sir, you have a parasol on your face. Please do not tell me what I should and should not like, sir. Thank you.
It really was. On this episode of the Nerfherder Council, it's our long-awaited, at least by me, discussion of the documentary The People vs. George Lucas, and I get rolling.
This is the Nerfherder Council.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Nerfherder Council. I'm back, or as Jar Jar would say, Misa back.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
Anyways, I'm your host.
There.
That's the reaction to not having it. But I'm your host, JT, back with AJ and Steve. Want to thank you guys for covering for me on the last episode. That was an absolutely miserable
show. Yes, it was.
No, the show itself was great. I thought you guys did a great job, but it was just like a miserable 8 days for me. So
yeah, you were in a bad way, man. I came over and saw you, and just I've never heard you that quiet. It was relaxing, honestly.
The night we were supposed to record, I literally almost could not speak. So I was going to Skype in because I was sick and I didn't want to be around your son, Steve.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to do that.
Who is completely sick right now.
Well, all right. Well, if he'd have been sick, then I would have come over. Like, all right, what am I going to do to make it worse?
Yeah. You can't get AIDS twice, right?
Right. Wait a minute. Are you saying your young son has AIDS? What the hell are you doing to him?
Everyone has AIDS.
AIDS.
And my old dog Blue.
He died of AIDS. So, anyways, yeah, thank you for the moment of silence for the aluminum Falcon. I literally cried when I found out that I had to total that car because it was absolutely just the greatest vehicle that has ever been put on the road. And I went everywhere in that car. And I was going to drive it until it fell apart. It was running like a champ. I had new brakes on them. It was beautiful. Had the great nickname and everything. And
well, you succeeded in your goal. You did drive it till it fell apart.
Yeah.
Very true.
Or it slid into a guardrail because some other douchebag didn't know how to drive in snow. So,
and then it fell apart.
Yeah. You know. But anyways, I am back. And I do have a very quick review. Since I was last on the show, I bought the Galactic Empire album. And it's kick-ass.
Yeah, we were listening to that.
Yeah, while we were building the Falcon, we listened to it. It's kick-ass. It's very fun. So
yeah, that thing's putting up some good numbers on iTunes and stuff too. So
is it?
Good for them.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's really good. You know, I mean, I love metal, I love electric guitar, and I love Star Wars. So you put them all together, and I'm like, oh, this is badass.
Yeah. It's the nerd equivalent of Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
It really is. That's the first thing I thought of when I was listening to it. I was like, man, this is like TSO, but for, you know,
Star Wars,
fat nerds like me who have Star Wars tattooed on their arms. So, but anyway, thanks for covering me, guys. I appreciate it. this episode is going to be kind of for those fans of ours, if we have any, that have contacted us saying that they love hearing when I go off on stuff, because I'm going to be bitching up a storm tonight.
Yeah, the last show was just me and AJ, and now since you're back, we just get to sit back and listen to you maliciously roast the things that you saw yesterday on that documentary.
Well, you see, I've got a page and a half of notes.
And that's when you know things are serious.
I wanted to make sure that I brought stuff to the table because I was getting more and more mad. And I'm writing this stuff down. And it's not even like I took real notes. I mean,
when JT takes time to write things down, you know some seriousness is going on.
Get ready to edit. One of my notes literally is period, fan, period, edits, period, all in caps. So I wasn't even writing actual like productive notes at sometimes. I was literally writing the stuff that popped into my head. Here's another one. Indy 4, just stop. Like, I mean... I was watching this thing. I was so mad. It's probably good that I have 24 hours to rest on it so I could be a little more calm. But I'd like to complain about two things real quick before we get to tonight's topic. The first thing I'd like to complain about is, I'm sure everybody has heard by now, but it's basically been confirmed that the Blu-ray and DVD release date for Rogue One is going to be April 4th. And that pisses me off.
I backed it off a week. It was supposed to be March 28th.
No, it's April 4th.
Oh, man.
And it pisses me off because it says nothing about the 3D version. And if they do this again, where they put out the goddamn regular version and then wait months and months to put out the 3D, so I have to buy it twice, I'm going to be pissed. That is crap. Put the whole damn thing out once. Stop making me pay twice. Because you know damn well I'm not the only one out there that is way too impatient to wait several months to have the damn thing in physical copy, so I'm going to buy it twice. Stop doing that to me.
That would be like putting out a THX edition and then putting out a special edition a couple years later.
We'll get
and
there.
Then a Blu-ray edition a few years after that.
Shut up. We'll get there later. That is not the same.
But it goes back to like what we talked about with the Disney thing and stuff. This is
and digital edition.
Complete business practice now to do this kind of crap because they know people are going to go out and buy the thing 3-4 times.
The slow drip,
Like I'm proving them right by doing that.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to buy the Blu-ray and the digital copy the day it comes out. And then when it comes out on 3D, I'm going to buy that.
Begrudgingly.
Yes, that's okay. We knew what you meant.
Yeah, but like you're going to be mad when you do it, but you're going to do it. And that's ultimately all they care. They don't give a crap what your feelings are when you're wiping the stupid credit card at Target. They just care that you're doing it.
It's going to be exactly like it was with The Force Awakens. I'm going to be walking through the store with it in my hand going, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. I'm so pissed at Disney. I'm going to swipe my card and be grumbling all the way home. I'm going to put it into the player. I'm going to put on my 3D glasses, my The Force Awakens official BB-8 glasses, or my Star Wars Celebration Anaheim exclusive Episode 3 world premiere glasses. And I'm going to watch it, and it's going to be over.
Well, by the time
I'm going to go, that is the greatest thing ever.
By the time that 3D comes out, you'll probably have some nice new Celebration Orlando 3D glasses for some reason.
I actually might. You never know.
Who the hell knows?
You never know.
When you get to Celebration, they start slapping you with Celebration exclusive 3D versions of this and that and whatever else that you spent $200 on.
Yep. But yeah, so that's my first complaint is just put it all out at once. I get it that you're going to make money off it, but you've made so much freaking money. I mean, come on now. And
but they can always make more.
You know what? To kind of to tease what we're going to talk about later. Why are they doing that and not putting out the unaltered versions of the original trilogy? You want to make money, do that. But that's for our topic tonight. But so anyway,
that is leave people wanting more because they know people want that crap so bad that if they just keep teasing it and milking it, they're just going to get more and more people to jump on board for
it's the only thing I hate about it, like, is the way they milk us for money. Like, yeah, we're going to give it to you, and it's our fault for spending it. We're the ones to blame, not them.
Yeah,
but it still pisses me off.
It's like people who buy season tickets for the Cleveland Browns.
Hey, you stop that right now.
Come on.
If you want to insult me, just look me in the eye and point at me, man. You don't have to do it side of the mouth with a comment.
They are kind of like the special editions. You know, there's a few edits to them year over year, but it's basically the same product trotted out again.
Look, I'm
for more money.
I just watched Fanboys again the other day, and I'm going to paraphrase. If you diss the special editions one more time, I'm going to cornhole you with a lightsaber. Now, my second complaint.
It really is, though, because we complain about it every year, and we all sit here and we go, you know, if we just stopped showing up to the games, those idiots would be forced to do something a little different. And then it comes game time, and you go, God, I got nothing else to do. Let's go. I really want to go to the game today.
Yep.
So
that's my life on Sundays.
Like you said, it's our fault. So
it is.
It is. It really is. So
okay, so my second complaint, quick one. So that new Chuck Wendig book came out. The third of the Aftermath trilogy, Empire's End.
Oh, I'm slipping. I forgot that came out this week.
Yeah.
We need friends. Be nice while you're saying this.
Am I going to...
Okay, hold on. Time out for a second. I just got to ask a question. Am I going to have to listen to this thing?
Supposedly it's really good.
I've gone through the first two. I've paid my dues. Why don't you guys ever jump in and tell me what happens in these things so I don't have to?
Well, because I don't really have time to listen at work too much, so...
Because we just don't care.
I mean, the tales of Malakili the Rancor Keeper and Therapy Ewoks. Come on, guys.
See,
how much more do I have to endure?
Well, I'll tell you what you have to endure because that's my complaint.
Well, you've done the other two. You might as well keep going.
Yeah,
why should we waste our time?
And along, JT, your lines of we're going to buy it and they know it. Yes, you're right. I'm two books of 3 in. I might as well just do the last one.
Yeah. We see Steve and I won't know what the hell's going on, so that's why you have to.
Yeah, we don't want to be confused and have to go back to listen to the first two. You already know that, so you're 66.6% in. You might as well get the rest of it.
Yeah. So here's my complaint. It was revealed that Jar Jar Binks is in this book, and apparently he wrote in Jar Jar as a street clown that's performing for children and looking like an idiot doing it. So basically, yes. So apparently he went incredible low-hanging fruit and just couldn't leave well enough alone and had to go for the, oh, look, let's rip on Jar Jar again. Because that's necessary. We needed more of that. This is why these books, when I complain about them, it's stuff we don't need. And there's a lot of it in there that we just don't need. I'm sorry. And I know that makes me a bad Star Wars fan, and I know I'm a cantankerous old piece of crap tonight, but why is that necessary? We get it. Everybody hates Jar Jar. Is it necessary to pile on? Disney's already piled on by not giving us any prequel crap since they bought it. So do we have to go, hey, remember how everybody hates Jar Jar? No, we don't. It's unnecessary.
Can we talk about the actual story points for Jar Jar in there?
What are the story points?
I mean, it was published the actual snippet was on IO9 or, some tech website. So it's already been out there. But, okay, so he's a street clown. Yeah. And he's entertaining children. The other illusions that they make are that he's basically been excommunicated by everyone.
Yeah.
His legacy is that he's the guy that authorized the clone army, which means he's the guy that brought about the Empire. So Naboo, the people of Naboo, like Amidala's people, want nothing to do with him. He's been permanently banished from Gungan culture as well. So he's got nowhere to go and nobody. Like, he is the saddest story in all of Star Wars.
So what they did again is take what the loudmouth fans of Star Wars want and just give it to them. Like, we have The Force Awakens, which is, we hate the prequels. Okay, well, here's an episode 4 rehash. And now we've got a tiny example of that, which is, we hate Jar Jar. Oh, well, then we're going to take that fan thing that people have brought up that says, oh, well, Jar Jar technically is the whole reason everything went to hell, and I'm going to put it in the book. Okay, great. That's good. That's very creative of you.
This is a major shift in Star Wars storytelling. When George Lucas was telling stories, he was just telling the stories he wanted to tell. Now you've got fans making Star Wars. So you're going to have fanfic being like the culture of the day. I mean, everybody who's coming out, everything we see for the behind the scenes stuff for every project coming up, like Rebels and Rogue One and Episode 7, Episode 8, everyone says, oh, I grew up with Star Wars. I was such a fan. It's so cool to be a part of it now. So yeah, it's all fans making the product. So they're writing in the crap that they want to see.
And I don't give a what they want to see. And which leads us to tonight's topic. which we have an interesting title for the episode. I've been thinking about this episode for a while. The Nerfherder Council versus the people versus George Lucas. And there it is.
Oh, we should actually state we've got a soundboard finally. So Steve is going to have a lot of fun tonight.
Thankfully, we don't have all 20 presets.
No, we do not. I only have 5, 10. I only have like 12 of them.
Well, there you go.
Okay, since this is sort of like the Everyman Star Wars podcast, set it up by at least explaining what The People versus George Lucas is.
It is a documentary basically crapping on George Lucas and ripping him.
So made by prequel haters.
Yes, prequel hate and special edition hate.
Okay.
There's a little bit of support for him. So and you could tell it was basically put in there because they didn't want the whole thing to just be smashing the guy the entire time.
Yeah, it wasn't made by Michael Moore.
Yeah. So, I mean, it starts out like with, 15, 20 minutes of explaining who George Lucas is and his filmmaking and how revolutionary and important and, culturally just immense the original trilogy was. And then it goes to hell. And I had seen it before. And of course, it pissed me off then. And over the years, I'm sure everybody has seen all the, George Lucas raped my childhood kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I absolutely hate that. And I see it all the time. I still see it. And I hate when people destroy the special editions. I hate when people destroy the prequels. And I figured it'd be a good topic to discuss supporting George Lucas because really, let's be honest, none of this exists without him. So I hate when people destroy it because it's you claim to be this big Star Wars fan, then don't be ripping on George Lucas. He gave this to you.
Well, okay. I watched. Steve, have you seen the documentary?
No, I have not.
Okay. It's available for rental on all the streaming platforms. It's worth a watch. It's what, like 75 minutes, 80 minutes, something like that?
No, it's actually like almost an hour and 40, I think.
Oh, wow.
Because I tried to search it up on YouTube when we were talking about it the other day, and it was like, about 135-ish or something, because they were trying to charge on YouTube for it, too.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I gave it a watch today. This is the first time I've seen it. And from what you were saying about it, and, even the prequel Strike Back guys, mentioned it, and how they wouldn't respond to requests to be in their documentary. I was expecting much worse, honestly. Like it wasn't as blatantly anti George Lucas as I thought it was going to be. It's called the People versus George Lucas. And the surprising thing to me about it is that unlike the prequel Strike Back, where there's a narrative done by the filmmakers to give you a kind of like a story thread through the whole thing, this is just clips of people talking about stuff. So it's not like the filmmakers themselves are bludgeoning you with their opinion. It's clips of other people giving their opinions only. And that's where like I can see how it's inflammatory, but at the same time, it's not the filmmakers espousing their views. It's just them filming other people saying what they think.
It could be the filmmakers too, though, just using other people's voices. If we went out,
why else would you make the movie?
No, I mean, like if you went to Celebration this year and you interviewed 500 people about what they thought about George Lucas, and you threw 200 of them out and only put the 300 in that were people that were sucking him off,
yeah,
it's
right.
It proves your point, even though you can sit there and go, I didn't say it. It's just the people I talked to.
Well, and like I said, I took notes so I could bring up some points, but I mean, one of the things that struck me is you get all these people. A lot of the people that they have in this thing, Steve, are independent filmmakers or internet people.
Everybody's a damn independent filmmaker.
All this different stuff.
So is George Lucas.
Yeah. And they show all these goofy scenes from these stupid things that these people have made.
Everybody's independent film people or podcasters. Everyone thinks they can do whatever the hell they want anymore.
Right.
God.
And it's like the whole complaint is that he messes with his work. He messes with Star Wars. But they show all these little clips and scenes of these dumb little fan films or whatever, or these like their interpretations and all this. They're screwing with it. Why can't George? It's hypocritical.
Because George didn't use their idea, so there's the problem.
No, it's just so stupid. It's just hypocritical to me. Like, you can do it, but he can't. He made it. And that's another point that really drove me nuts. And maybe I'm a little biased on this one because I'm a musician and I've written a bunch of tunes and stuff like that. So maybe I'm a little bit, jaded in this opinion. But they had a little section where they were talking about how he doesn't own Star Wars anymore. The fans own it. The people own it. And I went, no, they don't. They do not. Because he made it. It's his. My songs that came out like 15 years ago, if someone comes out, if I want to re-record it and add some more guitars and someone goes, you can't do that. That belongs to us now because you released it. I'd be like, the hell it does. You didn't write the shit. It's not yours. Yeah, sorry, I know. I'm very animated. I will try and stop swearing.
No, that's fine. I only have a couple of days to get this one out. So
it's like it is not yours.
But it does not belong to the fans. You can go talk to Bob Iger and Disney about who the hell owns it right now.
Yeah.
So
hold on.
The fans own Jack.
Hold on. Here's the issue. The issue is not that George Lucas messed with the films. The issue is they don't give us the choice of having the unaltered version if we want it. It's like,
no, that's the real issue. Yeah.
It's like when a band puts out a remaster or a remix. You love the Megadeth catalog being remixed. You love having bass in Rust in Peace.
Mm-hmm.
And all that. I like the original. I like the mood and the atmosphere of the original. I don't like the remasters. Same thing with the Van Halen ones really needed it, so that's a different story. But in general, like when you go back and mess with something that's already out there that people like, and then you take that original thing away and say, no, this is the only one there is, that's when you piss people off.
Well, and it's good that you brought that up because I was thinking about this. The only time that the original cuts, or at least close to the original cuts, were ever available were on the Laserdisc set. And even that was like different sound. But that's the only time. And who had a freaking Laserdisc player except for our uncle?
Those things were stupid expensive.
Almost
God,
no one had it.
Laserdisc was like the size of this table, wasn't it? Those things were
It was the size of a vinyl record, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But so you're saying, as far as that goes, AJ, if they were just to release the original 3, original copies on Blu-ray, whatever, then it just opens the floodgates. It's cool that it's all screwed with now.
Yeah,
as long
because
as
then
we
you
have the option to go to the originals.
That's really what people are complaining about, and I even wrote that down.
So it's like
I said the real issue,
like all these loudmouth people just stop complaining if they get the original.
Yeah,
that's BS because we all know that they're going to still complain about something.
That's true. That's true. And you know what else I thought? If you think about it, like I'll be 41 this Sunday, right? And I saw all of the original trilogy, all 3 of them in the theater. I actually saw episode 4 and 5 in 1980, and I saw episode 6 in 1983. Now, how many of these people complaining about we need the original cuts are like 22, 25, 26 years old who never even saw the original cuts? So what the hell are they talking about? They don't know what the original cut looks like.
Now that's valid. If you've never seen the original cut, then you can't say that I need the original cut because you don't. Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about.
And even people our age, I don't understand.
Darn young people.
Yeah, I mean, like how many times were we able to see the original cuts? I mean, if you taped it off TV, okay, I can see that. But a lot of people only saw the original cuts maybe in theaters or maybe on television like once or twice. So to say this is what we grew up on, you never saw them that much. So how can you really tell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like you watched it 200 times on the original cut and then you saw something completely different.
Yeah.
Like the only thing, like I think we brought it up a few weeks ago. Honestly, the only thing that was so unneeded was the little banter with Han and Jabba when he like accidentally steps on his tail and you see him like bump up and stuff. It was like
I hate that scene.
Yeah, it's like that is completely unneeded because we did grow up on something that wasn't there, and then all of a sudden, what in the Blu-rays or whatever, it just kind of popped up.
Yeah, it was in the Blu-ray
edition or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
It was in the special edition.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yep, that was one of the big reinserted scenes.
Me.
And that Jabba, I mean, the Blu-ray one still doesn't look that great, but the special edition one was awful.
I've never understood why.
So terrible.
With everything they can do, I've never understood why they haven't been able to fix Jabba. Like, of all the things you could do, you can't.
It's almost like they're screwing with him on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Tarkin, and people that didn't know the guy was dead had no idea they were looking at a CG character.
Well,
and yet yet just 6 years ago, when the Blu-ray comes out, we still get a Jabba that doesn't look at all photorealistic.
Well, wait a minute. I can do you one better than that. That was 2016. How about in 1993 when we had a T-Rex in Jurassic Park?
Yeah, right.
It looked like a freaking T-Rex.
Actually, yeah. If you could do a dinosaur, you could do a giant slug.
And that's 2017. I just showed you guys a video a couple weeks ago of that stuff they're doing down at Disney for Avatar Land.
Yeah.
And none of us could tell that was an animatronic.
Yeah.
And you're telling us they can't make a halfway decent Jabba the Hutt to go on screen right now? You could make an animatronic and actually have it slither across the damn floor into the scene, and it would look better than what they put in the Blu-ray.
Yeah. And there's videos that I found on YouTube that do a side-by-side of the original cut and the changes in the special edition. And it looks great. I mean, I don't understand what people are complaining about. And I've said this before, all it does is add graphics. I mean, it looks clear. It adds a little more depth to it. And I will go back to this. I don't understand what all the complaining is about, because the story doesn't change.
Okay, well,
Nothing
there's one
changes.
I made a few notes and then left them at work, so I'm going by memory.
Nice,
but I wrote it down so I kind of remember it. It's like high school, basically.
You get a C.
Yeah, I never actually read my notes. I just took them and then kind of remembered something about them. But there was a phrase that they used in there talking about the Han shot first, Greedo shot first.
Yes.
Because that's huge contention, obviously. And one of the guys used the phrase, you're assassinating your characters and lying to the audience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that is really over the top.
That's way too deep for something that didn't need to be.
It's complete horse crap.
I will say this. I hate that edit, and I think it does alter Han's character.
It does no such thing. It does no such thing.
But to say that you have assassinated your characters and lied to your audience. Yeah, when he said you're lying to your audience because you meant to do it that way, because that was the hype of the special editions, this was George's true artistic vision. I make air quotes on an audio podcast. I don't know why.
We all do it.
I'm Italian.
I was going to say we're Italian. Look what I'm doing right now. It's a fun one.
What do you call a one-armed Italian? A speech impediment. Anyway, as I was saying, to say that like you're lying to the audience because you've taken a character moment and changed the way that character behaves, I don't know if I would go that far. But I do think it does alter your perception of Han Solo, because when he shoots first, you're like, he's not even waiting to give the other guy a chance. He's not even playing fair. He's out for himself first and foremost. The other time, it's like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. That is one thing that I will agree with in the documentary.
Total crap.
There's no way that a guy is going to miss a shot at you from across the table.
Total crap. And if you think that's true, then go watch Rebels, because stormtroopers miss from 10 feet. So it does not change anything, because all the kids that grew up with the prequels who've now seen the original trilogy, Han Solo is still universally accepted as the ultimate badass. There's not this all of a sudden fan backlash of Han Solo being a weak kind of wussy character, and because it changes his character. No, Han Solo is still the exact same character he was to us when we were 4 years old. Back then, he's exactly the same to people who just now, let's say, watched the original trilogy this year. He's exactly the same. That scene doesn't affect Han Solo. And people who say that are just groping for something to bitch about.
I'm hanging on one thing, and it's the assassination thing. Wasn't Greedo on screen for like 8 seconds?
Yeah.
Well, he's not saying Greedo's the one being assassinated. He's saying the character of Han Solo is the one being assassinated by changing his behavior.
It changes.
Because I was
going
to say, I'm like, who's bitching about Greedo when he really had no screen time to begin with?
He's got like 4 quadruplet twins anyway, because there were 3 more Greedos standing in Docking Bay 94.
Yeah, because he really is one of those characters that's garnered such attention in this huge fan base for somebody that did jack in the movie.
Yeah, he sat down and got shot.
Yeah.
Oh no, he was celebrating in episode 1 when Anakin won the pod race. So.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, that was supposedly that's Greedo.
I thought that was Wald.
I've seen 2 different takes. I've seen some people say it's Greedo and some say it's that other guy.
WALD, if you're going to write that down.
No,
you grabbed a pen and paper right after I said it, so I assumed you were making notes.
Steve's like, no, it ain't that important, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it does not affect his character because everybody still has the same opinion of him, even if their first exposure to Han Solo is that Han and Greedo scene. I will admit that it looks pretty stupid where he just shoots over his shoulder. Like, it's like, okay, what the hell was that?
Well, they made him slide a little bit to his right.
Yeah. I mean, and I understand that it looks kind of dumb. And I will agree with that. But to say that it changes the character of Han Solo is such crap that it's not even funny. It's just another one of those arguments just because you're trying to nitpick something.
Well, okay, then I'll take the counterpoint of if it's not going to affect how things play out, why bother making the edit?
Because he wanted to. It's his right to do it. That's what these people don't understand. He made this, okay? And people that, okay, I brought up the musician thing earlier, and I will go with, I will make this comparison. These people that think that the artist doesn't have the right to go back and mess with their own stuff. That's why the music industry is going in the crapper with everybody stealing music, because they think they have this right to take that they didn't make, that they don't own. It's not theirs. It is not yours. It's his. He can do whatever the hell he wants with it. And I have notes later that says, and we already said it, if you don't like it, don't buy it. You're the one that makes this possible. You paid for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to say, oh, we own it now because it's a classic movie. No, you don't. You don't. You didn't make it. And he didn't make it for you. You know who he made it for? Himself. He wanted to see these movies. It was an idea he had. That's what artists do.
Yeah, I will say this, though.
Well, I'm riled up tonight.
Well, okay. Well, that's great. We need that. Clearly, you know, Steve and I actually get along a little too well to make a good 90-minute show on our own. So
I thought it was fine.
But here's the issue. Like, Eddie Van Halen needed David Lee Roth. Axl needed Slash. You know, go on down all the great musical trios or duets. You know, Steven Tyler needed Joe Perry.
I think I know where you're going with this.
It takes a little bit of creative conflict. You know, you need that sort of stuff. It's a constraint in a way. You know, you need something to limit your creativity and focus it and hone it. And a lot of the things that came out and made Star Wars so great were the things that he had to do because of the limitations. You know, he couldn't do certain scenes because he didn't have the budget. Chewbacca had to stand like a wuss in the trash compactor out of the water because they only had one suit and they couldn't get it wet. Mm-hmm. You know, like little behind the scenes things that make for a better creative product because you're finding creative ways around challenges. When you remove all barriers, sometimes you can reduce how special the thing is that you create.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I think it's a different point that you're trying to make because I actually wrote this down. I think what you're referring to is the original trilogy for Empire. He had Irvin Kershner directing, not himself.
I kind of blended 2 points.
Yeah. Episode 6 obviously was Richard Marquand, but in the original trilogy, he didn't have that. It was just him with a sole vision. And I wrote that down, and I will say this, that I agree with that because, again, I'm relating everything to music because art versus art, and it's what I'm used to. Uh-huh. I've written some good songs throughout the years, but they turned into really good songs when I bounced them off somebody else.
Yes.
Had I put them out in the original form, been like, this is okay. But you have to have that because when you're so close to it, you can't really see the flaws. And I understand that. I love the prequels, but they're not as strong as the original trilogy. And I do agree that it's because of the lack of input from somebody else looking at it as an outsider going, well, you know, maybe, you know, talking about sand and, you know, when I'm with you, I can't breathe is sounds really friggin' stupid.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you need somebody to tell you that. And I side with, but
yeah, Rick McCallum helped get the job done, but he was really kind of a sycophant.
Well, but what people have to remember is what are they going to do? I mean, 2 points there. Well, actually, no, just one. I mean, Star Wars was such an enormous thing at that point, and George Lucas was such a legend. Who's going to be the guy that's going to go tell George Lucas no? I mean, that's a meal ticket to millions of dollars to just go, sure, dude, to be a yes man. Who's going to do that?
Well, ultimately, it all started with George anyway. As in, George decided he wanted to do the prequels, so he assembled a team to create those movies.
Yeah.
So if he's not going to bring if he wants total creative control, he's not going to bring in people that are going to challenge him. So right off the bat, you're not going to get that because he's not going to hire you if that's going to be the tack you're going to take.
Exactly.
Even though I think it would have made for a better product.
Yeah, it would have made it stronger. Yeah. I mean, I think you can just see from the dialogue in Force Awakens and Rogue One. Steve, you and I have talked about that.
Right.
Just the dialogue alone, you can see a difference.
Yeah.
And I agree with that because you don't have any of that kind of silly stuff. And I mean, it's better dialogue, but it also could be better dialogue because people look at the prequels and go, well, we can't have that kind of stuff going on. But
yeah, absolutely though. Even if you were working on the prequels and you came home every night and you told us sitting at a table like, man, these things are crap. But you're not going to go to work the next day and say, George, this ain't working out. You're just going to go and you're going to put your thumbs in the air and go, this is beautiful, George. Amazing. Print it. Let's put it out today.
Wait, you want to put a new musical number in Jabba's palace with singing and dancing and a CGI male singer?
Either that or you try to shoehorn it. You're like, man, you know what would really make this thing better? And then he starts looking at you with the evil eye and you're like, I was just screwing with you, man. That's nah.
See, that's even different though, because with that stuff with the special editions, that's just George going to ILM and going, put that in the movie. But so that one, you're just doing a job, I guess. But in terms of making the prequels, I think what a lot of people don't think of is that while you're making something, you're seeing it 10, 15, 20 seconds at a time. So at that moment when you're on set with, clone troopers running around and squibs going off and stuff, to you, it looks like the coolest thing ever because you're in front of Star Wars. You're like, oh, this is great. And you're like, oh, this scene looks cool. And then you see other cool scenes. You're like, this is going to go together to be really cool. It's not until you see the final product and start editing it together, you're like, oh, crap.
That is true. It's, again, going back to music because it's just an easy analogy. I'm sure that no band ever has deliberately gone into a studio. Kiss did not go in and do Tales from the Elder thinking it was going to be the crappiest thing they could ever create.
Yeah.
At the time, they thought it was fabulous. Even in your own career, I was in the studio sessions for Current when Gatlin was doing that, and we all thought that we were producing the best sounding record ever. And now, going back, we're like, wow, that really could have been done better.
Yeah. Because
you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah. I mean, it's new to you. And as something is coming together, when it goes from an idea in your head that's not tangible, when it starts becoming tangible, there's an excitement there that it taints your judgment of what's going on. It's hard to remove yourself from that to see the forest through the trees. And, it goes back to our point of, having a director. But I think a lot of people lose sight of that it's, as they're making it, to them, it looks cool.
Yeah.
And the story itself is a cool story. It's the story of how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader. Who doesn't want to see that? You're getting more of Vader. Where did Vader come from? That's cool. And that's another thing they brought up in the documentary was how, it's supposed to be a movie for kids, but then they have this Trade Federation crap. So what the hell are they doing? That's stupid. Well, no, idiot, because it is a movie for kids, but he also knows that there's going to be adults like us that grew up with the original trilogy that want to see something too. So it's got some adult themed stuff like the political crap. And then it's got the Jar Jar Binks stuff. There's something for everybody. So, I mean, how do you not see that? I mean, these people make these complaints. It's like, what are you looking at?
Yeah, there were two audiences for the prequels. There were the original fans who were more grown up, so they had to have more adult themed stuff to keep those guys, entertained. And then you also had the kids that he was really targeting overall from the start. He was always writing movies for kids with these things. That's why they, freaking made tons of toys and stuff because they wanted kids to get involved. Mm-hmm. So then you get Jar Jar and stuff. Yeah. So you have some of this and some of that. And, one of the points that they made as far as the goofiness of Jar Jar, and, we got in the original trilogy, you wouldn't have had anyone stepping in CGI poop.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many belches were out in the middle of the desert? Right in the establishing shot of Jabba's palace, you get the big bullfrog looking thing snapping and getting the rodent, and then just bleh.
Yeah, right.
That's isn't that special edition? I think that's a special edition though, isn't it?
Maybe, but no one mentions it as a problem.
Yeah, right.
Oh well, of course not.
True.
No one mentions the Sarlacc belching.
See, that's the thing though. That's why I hate all the special edition hate, because the story doesn't change. I will never understand why anybody cares. It's just added graphics.
It goes back to what AJ said at the beginning. It's getting changed from the original, and we just live in a day and age that people are going to complain about it for whatever reason. If George never did the special editions, never changed anything, we'd be sitting here talking about how people are making documentaries bitching about how, well, it's 2017. How come they've never updated any of the graphics on this stuff or added any of this? Like, it's just people will complain just to complain.
Yeah.
Just to hear themselves whine and moan about something, because that's just what people do nowadays. So
it's like I've tried to put myself in their mindset, because I'm actually qualified to talk about this, because again, I saw the original trilogy in the theater. So when people go, well, this is what I grew up on, it's what I grew up on. I'm one of those people that saw it all, and I did see it on TV a bunch of times, and I had all the toys. I'm one of those people, so I'm qualified to talk about this.
Yeah, but your recollection is still that of a 4, 7, and 10-year-old.
Okay, but so are you telling me there's a bunch of 60-year-olds walking around?
I didn't quite do that math right.
It doesn't. Close enough.
4, 5, and 8. Sorry,
doesn't matter. So there's not a lot of 60-year-olds walking around talking about this stuff. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it's just it doesn't change that much. It just doesn't.
It doesn't.
I mean,
you're right. I mean, ultimately, the same story is underlined no matter what.
I can't. When I first saw these, my first reaction was, holy crap, this looks great. This looks cool. And that's what it was for.
And visually it does. Cleaning up all that footage, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
And that part's cool. Now, Steve, one of the things they talked about in here, and I want to get your take on this, because I do think that this is a worthy point that they bring up in the documentary. Lucasfilm PR actually responded to requests for the original cuts of the films. And in a nutshell, what they said was, in making the special editions, they destroyed the original negatives, so they can never release the original cuts again. Doesn't that sound kind of fishy to you? I mean, because they said, and even I know this not as a film student, the first thing you would do is copy the original negative and work from that. You would not destroy the original, especially when the film is already in the National Film Registry.
Yeah,
it's one of the first 25 films to get into the National Film Registry when it was created.
Yeah, I don't believe that for 1 second, that they don't have 3 cans sitting somewhere covered in dust of the original.
Oh, they have them.
So, yeah,
I think it's really being blown off now, because remember, Rogue One, they used 1977 footage that was B-roll.
Well, everybody knows that they have them. I mean, even in that response, the guy even says like that later in the letter. They actually show the letter on screen. They type it out so you can see what it says. Later in the letter, they kind of slip up in something they say. Basically, they admit that they do have the prints. So
what they say is that, well, it's not George's original vision anyway, so you shouldn't want to see those.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay,
but they need to understand. I mean, trying to play devil's advocate here, a general Star Wars fan, especially a super fanboy, doesn't care. Like that, they're the person that owns the stupid Christmas thing and the Ewok movies and all that crap. They want to see it. They don't care if it's George's original vision or not. It's still Star Wars, and it's something they want to see.
Yeah, and I mean that is the problem, that they don't offer that out there. But who cares? I mean, I just don't understand why there's this backlash, and for everybody to come and crap on George Lucas and to make a whole movie about crapping on George Lucas. It's like you wouldn't have Star Wars at all if it wasn't for George Lucas. It's like, I don't like Metallica recently because Lars Ulrich sucks, and Load and Reload and Saint Anger were 3 of the biggest pieces of crap ever recorded. But I'm not going to go F Metallica.
Or stop putting out records.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, these fans are such a-holes. They caused George to stop making movies. And look what happened. We got The Force Awakens, which is episode 4 rehash. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up, because this is one of the like historian guys said. I think I wrote this down exactly verbatim. Fans want more of what they like. That thing they just saw and liked, they want more of that, please.
Absolutely.
And that's what Disney did. All they did is redo episode 4. It's like, why?
But we've had this argument about music, and that's exactly where you are at. You're like, don't change the formula. I like this band sounding this way. Don't write anything different.
But it's different songs. It's not like let's say Van Halen comes out with a new record and they say that their new record is 2 new songs and then Women and Children First remastered. And they go, this is our new album. No, it's not. It's almost it's just Women and Children First all over again. That's not a new album.
That's not really an accurate
hell it's not.
No, because what I'm talking about is something like Different Kind of Truth, which forget when the songs were written or when the demos were created. The album itself came out, what year? Sorry.
2012.
Okay. So you got the original lineup back again doing a record that stylistically could fit in.
Michael Anthony was on it.
Dude, it's a Star Wars podcast.
I don't care.
Fine.
You get your Van Halen facts right, damn you.
For the next 30 seconds is a Van Halen one.
You get the original singer back in, and they're working off of demos from the 1970s.
Only on a couple songs.
Fine. It's David Lee Roth back in the band after how many years? Fill in the detail because I don't want to be corrected again.
It was like 28 years since 1984.
All right. Fine. So 28 years later, you get the original singer back, and you put out a record that's supposed to sound like David Lee Roth era Van Halen. They could have written a new style of music to reflect where they're at as musicians now, but what they did instead was they went back to demos and even riffs from songs that they had repurposed. She's the woman, that was already used in another song, and then they rewrote it. They put out the exact same thing because fans just want to hear what they've already heard before. That's more consistent in this comparison to the quote than saying like, well, it's like they put out 2 songs and then just re-recorded an album they already had. Force Awakens was not a direct ripoff. It was
ain't gonna convince me of that.
Well, no, what I mean is it wasn't like a shot-for-shot remake. It was really close. But there were at least, like the X-Wings were redesigned slightly. Starkiller is slightly different from the Death Star. So it's like writing a song that sounds just like another song, but it's not the same song.
They did just enough not to get hit with copyright infringement.
See, I disagree. It's too close. It's too close for me. And
it may be too close, but it is different.
Not really. That's why it's still my least favorite of the 8 movies.
Okay, that's fair enough.
It's just too close.
You're right. It is fair enough, but AJ is right. It's not a shot for shot thing. It is different. There's new characters. It's different. Yeah. It's very, 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 very close. But it's not the same.
Yeah, let's keep it on the context of the documentary. That quote is in relation to what he was referring to is how Phantom Menace is so derided as an awful effort to revive the franchise because, as the quote says, people saw 4, 5, and 6. Here comes Star Wars again. They're expecting more of 4, 5, and 6. They weren't expecting a tonal change and anything to really be that different. The fact that George Lucas went so far away from what people were expecting, that's what had people up in arms. I mean, Steve, where do you come down on that? Do you think he should have stayed truer to the original trilogy, or should he have told whatever story he wanted to tell, which was very different than what people were expecting to see?
No, I've said before, I'm totally on board with Star Wars is Star Wars to me, and I look at it for what is on the screen. So I do not disagree at all with what came out in the prequels because, like I said, that was the story that was in his head that led up to 4, 5, and 6. I can't write anything better, so I'm not going to sit back and bitch and say that's not good or you can't do this, whatever. Yeah, like you can dislike part of the story. I hate the fact that episode 2 was so, political heavy and stuff, but it's still there. It still falls into line. It still is what it is.
Yeah.
Towards Star Wars. So I don't have like this ill will towards it. Like it's not crap like the stupid Christmas thing was.
Right.
Like that was just it's something that looks like it was written 5 minutes before the cameras were turned on.
Yeah.
Like that was crap. But I don't hate on anything about the prequels, just like I don't hate on episode 7 because these guys, like you were just talking about how everybody hates on episode 1 because it was so far off of what everything else was. So these guys went, okay, the general public is going to whine and complain if we go way too left field with this. So we're just going to give them what they know. And again, it's like I brought up a couple minutes ago. People are just going to bitch. So like they went closer to what everybody knows, and there's complaints about it. If they would have went too far away, there would have been complaints about it. Yeah, all these people are in lose-lose situations.
Yeah.
No matter what the hell they do with this franchise.
That's one of the good points the documentary makes, actually, is it says the reason people cry and bitch this much is because they love Star Wars this much. So there is no way to actually please them, because if you put out the best thing ever, people are still going to have something to nitpick about because they want it to be perfect, and nothing ever is.
Mm-hmm. And I just don't understand what these people are expecting. Like when the prequels came out, I went into it going, I just want to see a cool Star Wars story, because I knew nothing was going to live up to 4, 5, and 6 in my mind. Like you said, AJ, I was coming at it from the perspective of a 4 and a 7-year-old kid. And that just shaped everything I knew about entertainment. And to this day, it has. You know, I could still watch episode 4, and I still remember exactly how I felt the very first time I saw a movie in the theater, which was episode 4. And I still remember, I get that feeling. And I know that nothing's going to touch that. And it's so when I went into it, I'm like, okay, these are 3 legendary movies, and this is a starting point of the whole damn thing. So there's no way this can live up to the hype of saying, oh my God, I hope it's as good as Empire or something. I knew that.
I think that's a lot of it. Nothing like kids get into stuff so like lock, stock, and barrel. It's like the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever. So when you love something as a kid, you can never love something as much as that as an adult.
Well, I mean,
maybe that's why I got a different view on it, since I didn't. I mean, not that I'm sheltered or anything like that. I just never. I got into Star Wars. I mentioned it before. I got into Star Wars when it was originally put on VHS, when you were first able to grab that big, crazy box set of it. I never saw it until then. So, I mean, I don't even remember the year, but I had to have been my daughter's age, 12, maybe even early teens before I even got to see the thing. I don't remember, but
right.
But yeah, it's like maybe that's why I can come at it as a different perspective of just seeing the movies at an older age and being able to absorb it as a whole, instead of, like AJ said, falling in love with it as a kid and going, this is perfect. This is the friggin' bar. Like, now let's match everything else up to it.
Well, I mean, look at the demographics of how the fan base approaches the saga. You have little kids who love all 6 movies. Yeah. And the adults, a lot of them can't stand the prequels, but love the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's...
You strip away the bias, and all of a sudden the films stack up very nicely.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, and the bias is there universally because people are comparing it to what came before. And people say, well, you're supposed to. No, you can't really do that, because it's never going to be the same, you know? And they brought up Indiana Jones 4 in this thing, which is fine, because I have this exact same feeling about Indiana Jones 4 as I do about the original trilogy versus the prequel trilogy in Star Wars. And these guys, and everyone always brings it up, you know, the Jar Jar Binks of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is, he survived a nuclear blast in a refrigerator. That's the stupidest thing ever. Yeah, because everything else in the first 3 movies was so realistic. Seriously. I'm like, you know, and when people do that, it's like, do you even think about this? I just don't understand the point of bitching for bitching. It's like, you know, Indiana Jones is not about realism. He defeated the friggin' Nazis by himself. A stupid archaeologist. You're okay with that? How does he get onto a German U-boat and then sail hundreds of miles on a boat encapsulated in a big steel tube and never get discovered? You don't bring that up.
It's easy to poke holes in all this stuff. I just watched Last Crusade a few nights ago, and I was watching Crystal Skull today after watching the documentary, because I really wanted to look at that with fresh eyes and see if it was really as bad as I remember. And there are some parts that are pretty cringeworthy. I'll be honest. But I mean, Last Crusade is completely preposterous. And that's supposed to, at least I'll say this for Crystal Skull, it's based around alien stuff, which means if stuff seems implausible by Earth standards, well, that's Earth standards and this is aliens. So,
and that's what was going on at the time in the 50s.
But yeah, Whereas like Last Crusade, we're talking about like, well, a bunch of humans made this because God told them to.
Yeah. Oh, he couldn't survive an explosion and a nuclear blast in a refrigerator.
He could walk across an invisible bridge over a chasm.
Yeah, an old man can live to 800 years old and he can find the actual Holy Grail. Sure.
You can walk across rocks that are suspended by nothing. They only fall if you're spelling the wrong word.
Yeah.
Go back to something that was just as popular during the same time in the 80s and stuff like that on television with MacGyver. The guy could save the world with a paper clip and some chewed up bubble gum every week, and people thought it was funny, but but you go and you match it to Indiana or Star Wars and people are like, that's not real.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's BS. You can't do that. Well,
yeah.
Well, dude, nobody's complaining about MacGyver making like a friggin' car run, off of, a pen cap and
a cantaloupe.
Yeah. And it's, these people
just made a hang glider out of a piece of cheese and a rubber band.
Yeah. And seriously, these people that complain about this stuff just drive me nuts because, as I said earlier, they show all these little bits of these dumb fan movies and stuff like that. And people are complaining. Well, that's not the story I wanted to see. I would have done this. Well, you know what? No one gives a damn what you wanted to see because if what you wanted to see was worth a crap, you would have made something legendary like George Lucas. But you didn't.
And 6 people wanted to see it that way, sir. But the vast majority of people do not care about what the hell you have to say.
I can bring up a counter to that though, because one of the things that Star Wars is renowned for is creating merchandising as a tie-in to movies.
Oh, that's another thing people complained about.
Hold on though. Part of doing that and what makes Star Wars so personal to everyone is that those action figures allowed everyone to play out and tell their own stories. So their own product machine created this fan base that felt entitled and gave them a sense of ownership over the stories that were being told.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, we all had wrestling figures when we were growing up too. Was the WWF supposed to write the stories that we wanted?
No, exactly. But what you end up with is a bunch of wrestling podcasts going, I don't like this storyline. If they really wanted these guys to fight, here's what they should be fighting over and how I would play it out between pay-per-views and blah, 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 blah. Because that's the same thing. It kind of invites the fans to take part in the storytelling. So when you invite fans to take part in the storytelling by giving them toys to act out their own fantasies and then say, don't go and make your own movies with this stuff. Well, wait a minute. Why? You just told us, you gave us the tools to tell our own stories, and now you're saying we can't go and tell those stories for other people to watch.
I'm just saying don't act like you can do better, because if you could, you would. It'd be like me going, oh, I could do better than that new Metallica record. Can you really? Then go do it. I can't.
Yeah, I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying I don't care if they do. That's all.
Yeah. And it's so pompous to sit there and act like you know better than George Lucas. The guy changed the entire movie industry.
Yes and no. Let's look at Rogue One.
No, it's no.
Hold on. Let's look at Rogue One. Do you think George Lucas would have made Rogue One?
That is, I can't answer that question. Nobody can.
I don't think he ever had plans to tell that story.
Well, of course not. But Disney did, because they're making money off of it. They're milking it for every last dollar.
And yet it's a fabulous movie that actually enriches the tapestry that is the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. Well,
it's a fan film.
Everything's a fan film to this after they sold it. I mean, we brought that up on a previous episode.
And yet we all agree that Rogue One is right up there with the best of Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
So you can do a fan film that is as good as George Lucas Star Wars.
Well, you know where it came from? The guy who worked on all the original Star Wars right next to George Lucas. John Knoll came up with all that stuff.
Which I do love. I really do.
I mean, it's right there. The stuff that George Lucas still has a hand in is the best stuff. I mean, it's right there. His imprint is still on everything. And the stuff that he actually had his hand in has turned out to be the best of the stuff that's come out. So, I mean, and I wanted to bring something up because you mentioned marketing, and that was another thing they hit on in the movies. People are actually complaining that all the product placement and the millions and millions of Star Wars products waters it down, and how dare he? It's like, what kind of a douchebag do you have to be to look a guy in the eye and go, well, how dare you go try and make money? Why wouldn't you would do that? Every single one of these people.
They're out there.
They would do the exact same thing.
Not true.
Bull crap.
I'll give you a name. Bill Watterson.
The Calvin and Hobbes guy?
Yep. Have you ever seen a stuffed animal of Calvin and Hobbes?
Yeah.
You ever seen a T-shirt of Calvin and Hobbes?
Yeah.
Not licensed.
It doesn't matter if it's licensed or not. That's his choice.
Yeah,
but
he made an artistic decision to not market that stuff.
That's fine. But don't you think he doesn't need to because he's made a gajillion dollars off the books? Because he has.
Well, the guy who wrote Bloom County had the same option, and you've got Bill and Opus on greeting cards and stuff like that because he decided to cash in.
So what's wrong with that?
A lot of people would choose to cash in, but not everybody.
Okay, that's fine. But why begrudge somebody that? If you have this cash cow sitting in front of you, you would do it.
There is a bit of
almost anybody would do it.
Well, there's a bit of duplicity there because on one hand, George Lucas is telling only the stories he wants to tell. He has this pure artistic vision, and that's why he didn't give people another 4, 5, and 6 with the prequels. He gave them the 1, 2, and 3 that he wanted to tell.
Yeah.
Whether it was popular or not. He didn't go for the cash grab. He went for the artistic purity that was his storytelling. And then on the other side, he's like, yeah, slap Star Wars on everything. Just give me the paychecks.
Well, dude, here's the thing, though. What people miss about that was a decision made in 1975 or 76. He kept,
actually, yeah, you can't bottle that genie once it's out.
Yeah, he kept the merchandising rights, and it wasn't, well, this is going to be a huge hit, so I'm going to make the money. He did it so that he could promote the movie.
And finance the next one.
Yeah, he thought nobody was going to be into the movie or then the studio wasn't going to back him. So he took the merchandising rights to hopefully get toys out there so that kids will go, what the hell is this? And then go see the movie, make them a few extra bucks in the theater. It wasn't based on action figures. And then all of a sudden the movie blows up and the action figures take off. What's he supposed to do? Go, no, stop that. Stop that. No, he's got a crap ton of money rolling in. Who's going to stop that from happening?
And then you brought up the prequels. If 1999 would have rolled around and he would have said, it's all about the art right now. I don't want to put anything out. How many people would have bitched that there was no merchandising out for episode 1? It's just this stupid day and age of people complaining for the sake of complaining.
Yeah.
It's like we said it a half hour ago. It's a lose-lose situation regardless of what the hell anybody does.
The other stupid argument that they made about the merchandise in the documentary was people complaining that they keep on putting out stuff because they can't stop buying it.
Yeah.
That's your problem if you're that completist and OCD because Star Wars is too big. There's too much out there for anyone to buy ever. Look, I wanted to keep up with just the Lego Star Wars sets. I can't even do that. That alone, just that one subgenre of Star Wars collecting is too much for me with a decent job and some disposable income. So if you're expecting to be able to collect every action figure that they put out, and every thermos and lunchbox and underoos set and sleeping bag and toilet paper and that's your problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's the people that complain about being overweight and stuff or obese because
McDonald's keeps making cheeseburgers.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Nobody put a gun to your head and forced you to go buy all your food out of a drive-through window. Nobody's forcing you to go to Target and buy everything down the damn Star Wars aisle.
Dude, there was a woman in the documentary literally like showing a wall of action figures behind her, and she's like, "You cost me my husband and my retirement fund and any vacations I would take," and no one put those figures in your shopping cart.
Look around the room down here right now. Not one thing in this room was forced upon me to purchase by anybody.
Yeah.
It's all crap that I chose to purchase on my own.
It's consumerism. It's the law of goods and services, man. If a company's going to put something out if they think people are going to pay for it, that's just how American commerce works. Mm-hmm. It's how commerce across the world works. I mean, it's like, again, don't buy it. I mean, AJ and I have a friend whose Star Wars collection is rumored to be about $1.5 million. And he doesn't complain about that. He just keeps collecting. He gets what he can. He studies it. And you don't hear him complaining because he knows there's no possible way to get it all. But he's also not going to try and get it all.
I mean, look at Rancho Obi-Wan. That place is recognized as the largest collection of Star Wars memorabilia in the world. And that guy is constantly still buying more because he's not even close to having even half of the stuff that's out there.
As I said, there's not a chance in the world that he is anywhere near collecting everything.
Yeah, they've got tons of stuff on the walls. They got fan-made stuff. They've got stuff from other countries. That is the one thing that's crazy about Star Wars is no matter how much you collect, you're never done.
Yeah.
So if you're just going to be pissed because they keep putting stuff out, well, really what happens is when people stop buying it, they stop making it. Because there was like a doldrums there in the mid 90s, like after they milked the 80s for all they were worth, because Return of the Jedi came out,
right,
and then some books, but that was pretty much it. Like Star Wars went dormant for a while.
Probably got some books and some random Happy Meal toys or something like that.
Yeah, like Star Wars went dormant. They actually stopped making action figures for a few years because there's only so many Luke Skywalkers you can produce before people are like, I've got Luke Skywalker, enough already.
It's the same Han Solo action figure, but we put a camouflage coat on him and called it, the Forest, whatever the hell, Han Solo.
All right.
Right. But then as soon as they announced that they were doing special editions, that was like 95 or so, they made the announcement that they were going to start working on those. Then here comes the Power of the Force line, and we're all back into, Star Wars toy territory again. And it hasn't gone away because the sales have dictated people still buy these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's people that like, oh, it waters down Star Wars. How dare he do that? You wouldn't stop that train if it was rolling.
Hell no.
If you've got billions of dollars coming in from doing literally nothing,
and like you said,
why wouldn't you?
And like you said, at this point, there are so many
Simmons' take on this,
right?
Yeah.
And there are so many agreements out there. Even if George Lucas did want to stop it, it's far out of his control now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
yeah, that fuse has been lit, dude. There's no way of stopping that thing now.
If someone took like the Gatlin music or the APG music, those are the bands I was in, I wrote albums with. And someone all of a sudden like got a hold of it online and decided like that one of those records was like the greatest thing ever and started like throwing it all over Hell and Gone and plastering it, just giving it to everybody. And the sales started going through the roof. I'm not going to sit there and go, hey, pull this down. Like, if I'm just making money doing nothing, I'm just making money because somebody else is throwing it out. I mean, that's really what George did.
Somebody's nice enough to give you all the credit for it instead of claiming it for themselves. You're just making money hand over fist on something you did a decade ago.
Yeah, it's not George Lucas going out there going, hey, I want you to put the Star Wars logo on Pop-Tarts. No, it's a company doing it for him, and he owns the license or owned the license for it, so he gets money from it. It's like, so if somebody's throwing my music out there and I literally don't do a thing. It's just other people sharing it so much that like I get 1 million sales on Amazon and all of a sudden I'm getting checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm not going to go out there and go, no, hold on, stop, pull that.
Sir, can you please not? I really don't have any more room in my wallet for this money.
Yeah. It's free money, man. Like, who's going to stop that? Well, why would you suggest to somebody that they should? Like, how much of a douchebag again?
Because that's not art, do you have to be? That's not art, man. It's about the product, man, not the money.
Hey, George did have it both ways though, because look at the storytelling. He made the movies, and then we started getting books and more books and comics and all this other stuff that he didn't write. And then as soon as he wanted to come back in and tell a story, he did not care what anyone else wrote. If it wasn't in one of his movies, it didn't count, and he was going to steamroll right over that. So that's kind of like, again,
I have no problem with that.
If you're going to let them slap Star Wars on something and tell a story, and then you're going to come by later and be like, nah, that's not really a Star Wars story. I'm going to tell you what really happened in that case. Which is it, dude? Are you going to let other people run with Star Wars, or are you going to keep control for yourself? Because as soon as you let people write books with Star Wars on the cover and then come back later and say that story doesn't count, here's what really happened in the timeline.
Again,
I almost understand that because there's so many books written that there's way too much information to try to fit in when you want to go back and make movies.
It also wasn't George's story.
Well, it
doesn't matter.
If you're going to authorize other people to tell stories, then by authorizing them, you have to give them credence.
No, he authorized them to use the characters. It's basically like saying it's the same thing as the action figures. You put the action figures out there so people can screw around with them and write their own stories. Go ahead and do it. But the only person that tells the actual story of Star Wars is George friggin' Lucas. People can use the characters and write the books all they want, but that doesn't make it legit. Why do you think all the EU now is called the Legends stuff and it doesn't count? because it never did. That's why I've said before, I never got into it. I don't want other people's interpretation of Star Wars. George Lucas writes Star Wars. He's the one. I'm not going to go out and buy a cover band's album, a Van Halen tribute band writing an album of stuff they think sounds like Van Halen. No, because I want Van Halen writing Van Halen music.
Right, but if that CD says Van Halen on the cover, you're going to consider that to be a Van Halen record.
No, if I know somebody else wrote it, not Van Halen, hell no, I would not. I'd be like, this is somebody's interpretation of Van Halen.
So if it's a band authorized release with their name on the cover, you're not going to consider it official.
No. You can give people permission to do whatever you want. It doesn't mean it's the real deal.
Yeah, that's kind of a failed allegory anyway, because we don't really it's a failed analogy because no one's ever actually done that.
Yeah. But dude, I mean,
although Kiss will, I'm sure, at some point.
I mean, George Lucas wrote the Star Wars stories. What he said goes. That's just how it is. So for other people to go, well, here's what I would have liked to seen. Well, that's fine. Okay, cool. Do that. But it doesn't count. So there's all these people getting butthurt about the EU. Be like, oh, well, he totally crapped on the EU because he can. Star Wars is his. He knows where the story's going, what the story is. If you want to go do your own little piddly thing and go, well, here's what I would do. Fine, go ahead. But that is not real. That's not Star Wars. I have to accept it now because he's not involved in it. But I did say,
does that mean you don't really accept Rogue One and Episode 7 as Star Wars, quote unquote? Because
honestly, if George Lucas still owned it and he was letting people make fan films that got released, I would feel the exact same way. I would not accept it. I'm like, George didn't write this crap.
Okay, well, let's talk about the books and the comics now then, because
so you're just basically separated. There's the original 6, and then there's going to be everything else from this point out.
No, I accept the canon because I don't mean it this harshly, but I have to. Because George Lucas, there's not going to be any more George Lucas Star Wars.
So like Episode 7 and beyond, you're just putting like a little asterisk next to it. Like it's there, but
it's kind of like the home run sluggers of baseball, in the 90s.
Right.
You can't really put them alongside the originals, but you can try.
They're there, but you don't really have to acknowledge that they're there.
Right. No, I completely accept it because that's just how it is. But
I would think you'd be just the opposite, knowing that he actually was working on story treatments that they completely threw out and went in their own direction.
Oh, believe me, I want to see what his idea was.
Well, you never will. All you know is that whatever we get on screen is not that.
I disagree. I think someday that his story treatments might come out. I think there will be a little something.
Well, they'll never be in the official releases, though. So then what do you do? If you did know the story direction that George was going to take 7, 8, and 9 in, is that going to diminish your acceptance of the 7, 8, and 9 that we actually got?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one.
That would be rough, wouldn't it? 10, 15 years from now, we just get something out of George and he made on his own. He goes, this is what I really would have wanted 7 to be.
Now,
what kind of wrench would that throw in our minds of Star Wars fans? That would mind F you so bad.
I will say this. I will definitely like the George Lucas Episode 7 better because I just, again, the whole
what if it comes out like the Christmas thing?
That at least that would be an original story and not just trying to rehash something that came before it.
I'll take the opposite stance. I'll take the opposite stance for this. He sold Star Wars, which means he is now the fanfic writer.
No.
Once the official creators, the official owners and stewards of Star Wars are telling stories, as soon as somebody who's not the official steward tells an alternate take, that's fan fiction.
I'm always a devil's advocate person. I can totally see that from both sides. Like I can say he's correct in the terminology of it and everything, but I could completely see from your end of no, I can't acknowledge George Lucas as a fanfic now, even though he sold it.
That's like saying when Michael Jackson bought the Beatles catalog and owned it legally, let's say all 4 Beatles were alive. That's like saying that if after that point they wrote Beatles music, it didn't count, that it was just like a tribute band. No,
that's not quite accurate. I would say it's more like
that's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and once you put it that way, because I'm a Beatles fan, I can see that, because I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
See?
No, I would say it's more like Queensryche, where the band Queensryche goes on, but then you have Jeff Tate's Queensryche. So one of the original creators is not in the band putting out stuff saying that this is what's really going on. No, the band is Queensryche. They're putting out these albums. Whatever Jeff Tate's doing now, not Queensryche.
No, it's called Operation Mindcrime for a reason, because it ain't Queensryche.
But the obvious inference by naming your band after one of your former band's albums is that it's supposed to be the original, the true version of the band.
No, see, I disagree with you. I'm sorry.
Or let's say it's like, I don't know, Axl with Guns N' Roses when he did that tour with Buckethead.
I disagree, man. It's just because he sells it doesn't mean it delegitimizes his ideas and his direction for it.
It also doesn't mean that his ideas trump the people who are building new canon without him.
I disagree. He's the one that created it. It all exists because of him.
I will agree with AJ on that one. At this point, the fact that he has nothing left on it other than he created it, if Disney could shoot down his ideas like they would ours if we walked into the door and tried to throw a story at him.
And they already did. But I mean, that brings us full circle on the topic. I mean, he created all of this. To sit there and crap on the guy mercilessly and try and nitpick every little thing is ridiculous.
You know what I would really like to see?
It's a huge lack of respect in that, in my opinion.
True. What I would really like to see from George, though, honestly, he's got the freedom now. Star Wars is not the one thing I didn't really realize until I saw it in the documentary was he's a victim of his own success. Like once you put out Star Wars, no one wants you to do anything else. You're stuck with Star Wars. And the guy's a creative visionary and had all kinds of ideas, I'm sure. But once Star Wars came out, that's all he could focus on. That's why he wanted to step away for so long, and probably why now, in his 70s, he's perfectly happy to walk away with his money and not deal with it anymore because he doesn't have to deal with this crap. But now he's got the freedom because that burden is off of him. I want to see what other ideas he has. If he's truly this visionary filmmaker, I want to see other things that he has for ideas and see if they're as good. Or maybe this was like his one-hit wonder with Star Wars. Maybe Star Wars was the one great idea he had, and maybe the rest of his ideas weren't so good.
I would disagree with American Graffiti and Indiana Jones. So, those were pretty damn good.
Well, I don't know what he's doing nowadays is what I'm saying. Like
he's doing nothing. He's retired. He even said he stopped making Star Wars movies because he was sick of hearing shit from people.
Yeah, well, wouldn't you be?
Yeah, I don't blame him at all.
That's the funny thing is we all appreciate his contributions and the fact that he gave all this to us, and yet at the same time, we drove him out of it.
Yeah, these asshole fans almost cost us Star Wars. I mean, they're damn lucky that he did such a good job with it and made it so incredible, because otherwise Disney wouldn't have wanted to buy it and Star Wars would be over. Mm-hmm. Because these jerk off fans, I mean, they almost killed it. They almost killed Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a good thing that George decided to cash in and sell it. He at least recognized that. Because he could have he had all the money he needed. He could have just shut it down and been like, nope, no more Star Wars. We're done. And then,
he would have.
Like he did with LucasArts.
Yeah, just let everything just wind down over time and be done and be dormant. But he at least was courteous enough, I guess, or
I call it smart.
There's a better word than that.
He probably would have until Disney knocked on the door with $4 billion.
Yeah, it sounds weird to say, but I would say generous enough to sell the company so we could get more Star Wars after he was done with it. Because he was well within his rights to just shut it down and be like, it's mine, it's over, I'm killing it.
Yeah,
like Motley Crue could have kept touring because people wanted to see their acts, but they're like, we're done with it, so we're not doing it anymore. George Lucas could have done the same thing with Star Wars, and instead he's like, I'm going to hand it off to somebody so you guys can still have your Star Wars, and I'm just not going to be a part of it anymore.
And that's why I say to these fans that crap on the special editions and the prequels, screw you. And to anybody listening, if you're one of those fans, I'm sorry to be so inflammatory. And
no, you're not.
No, because I don't want to say F you to people. I mean, thankfully, you guys know me well enough that when I debate this stuff in person, I will say to people, screw you if you think this, Are we still recording? I just heard a pop in my headset.
There's this thing shutting down.
But it's like, again, you almost killed Star Wars. And like you said, it's an artistic decision to allow the stuff to be merchandised. And it's an artistic decision to do this, that, and the other. Well, despite all these people just destroying him over the prequels and the special editions, he was cool enough and understood how much people love it enough that when he was offered a boatload of money that, let's be honest, he didn't need.
Yep.
He didn't just go, no, Star Wars is done. It's mine. Screw you. That would have taken Star Wars from all of us. But he said, no, people love these stories. Go ahead. Let Star Wars continue. He did that for us. So how dare people disrespect him? Because number one, he built what we love into something so big that it was actually wanted this much by the fans and by another company to keep it going. But secondly, he also was gracious enough, even though he was angry with the fan base and he could have easily been a jerk, he sold it and said, here, give them more Star Wars. Let people keep enjoying Star Wars. There's a certain amount of respect you have to give the guy for that.
Yeah.
And I can't get on board with the George Lucas hate, and I never will.
I wish they would update this documentary. It came out in 2010. I wonder how this would be reshaped by the sale to Disney.
You know what's funny is a lot of people, I'll bet you a lot of these people that are the haters would probably say that he sold out. Oh, he's a sellout. Well, if he didn't, you wouldn't have anything else.
True.
So shut up.
A lot of people that start those arguments will find reasons to stick to their guns on that so they don't have to look stupid about
Yeah. I mean, George Lucas gave us all of this. Show the guy some respect. I mean, he showed you the ultimate respect. After the fan base basically turned their backs on him, he took money he didn't need to let it continue for us. He looked at all of us and said,
don't forget he turned around and donated most of that to charities and good causes.
Yeah. I mean,
he turned around and he said, treat yourself.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't ever find fault with the guy. You know, at his heart, he's just trying to tell cool stories. And he gave us so many cool stories. I mean, look, he's the reason the three of us are sitting here. He's the reason that we're going to Celebration. Think about it. How many friends do we have just based on Star Wars? It's, you know, it's like, and everybody agreed on this in the documentary. It's not just a movie, you know, to other people, Star Wars is just a movie, but to the Star Wars fan community, it really isn't. It's bigger than that. It's more important to us. So show the guy some respect, the guy who made it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't like the Beatles. I'm not a Beatles fan, but I have the most incredible respect for them because they basically the fathers of modern, you know, pop music, rock and roll. I mean, you can never take that away from them, and you have to show a certain reverence and deference to them for that.
Yeah, I bring that up a lot when it comes to sports, you know, music, whatever. It's like you don't have to like it, but you have to respect stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a huge MMA guy. Cannot stand John Jones. And I know you know one of the biggest cancers of life walking the earth. But man, when he gets inside one of those damn cages, you got to respect what the hell the guy can do.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You can dislike the direction George took with the prequels or anything else, but you got to respect the fact that he brought it there in the first place.
Well, it's like Hulk Hogan. I love wrestling, but I hate Hulk Hogan. Can't stand him. Same thing with Ric Flair. Can't stand him. I think they're the most overrated hacks. But I have insane respect for him because I wouldn't have had everything else that came after it without him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and how many of your favorite wrestlers, you know, had one of those two guys carry the damn matches for them because like you had to respect how the hell the guys entertained while they were in front of you.
Yep. And I will give one more opinion. And this is really going to be taking a shot, and I don't care. There's a guy that they interviewed in there, and he, for whatever reason, decided that right on the side of his face where his sideburns should be, there is a tattoo of a goofy-looking, stupid little umbrella that's probably about 2.5, 3 inches tall and about 1.5 inches, 2 inches wide. Your opinion instantly is null and void when you look like such a giant, stupid.
When you made the decision to tattoo that on your face, you lost all credibility to tell anybody anything.
Go ahead and call me judgmental because I have Star Wars tattooed on my arms. I don't have a umbrella on my face. Okay, you look like a complete idiot. So I mean, as soon as he came on screen, I was like, what the hell is that? And he was standing there with another guy.
Sir, you have a parasol on your face. Please do not tell me what I should and should not like, sir. Thank you.
It really was. I'm not kidding. Like, he comes on screen because he's with this other dude he's partners with in a project or something. And the other guy's talking first. And I saw this guy's tattoo and I'm like, I don't care what this guy says. If he comes out and goes, Star Wars and Van Halen and Dream Theater and the Cleveland Browns and Cleveland Indians and Cleveland Cavaliers and Ohio State Buckeyes are the greatest things ever, I'm just going to go, shut up. You just shut up and stop talking because I don't want to hear a damn thing you...
Sir, thank you for making me hate everything you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I shouldn't be judgmental, but it looked so damn dumb. I'm just like, how can I take this seriously? And I'm a closed-minded ass for saying that, and I fully own up to it. But as Steve, you hit the nail on the head. It can't get said any better. Sir, you have a parasol on your face. In fact, you know what that made me do when he came on the screen? I saw that thing on his face and I went, oh, come on! And I think we could leave it there. I had to get one in.
Yeah.
I had to get one in for the show. I've been waiting the whole time.
It's good having you back, buddy.
So thanks, everybody, for tuning in to another show. Again, hope I didn't piss anybody off. I'm very animated when it comes to that sort of thing. Because I love my Star Wars, and it's supposed to be fun. And when people just nitpick it for the sake of nitpicking, I get defensive. So, again, don't forget that we are now an official Star Wars Celebration supporter. You can go on the Celebration website, StarWarsCelebration.com, click on Show Info, and then Supporters, and you'll see our cute little logo there. So we're official, which is awesome.
And you'll also notice on our website that, in return, we've got a little pimp link for them. So,
yep. A new header at the top of the screen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're friends. We like each other now.
Yep. Hey, we've
been unofficial supporters for
7 years.
7 years. Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Quick math is not my strong suit.
Actually, I would say 8 years, because when they announced that it was coming, once we found out what it was and how cool it was, when they announced the next one, we're going. Oh my God, we're going. So, yeah, we love Celebration, as everybody knows. It's really cool to be considered an official supporter. So that's super fun for us. So check it out if you're a fan of the show, want to geek out a little bit. You find us at all the usual places. We at Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, all that good stuff. We are at Nerfherdercouncil.com. You can leave us a voicemail to leave your feedback and holler at me for ripping on people. 440-987-WARS. Don't forget, we do have official Nerfherder Council raglans for sale. Baseball-style T-shirts. Beautiful gray sleeves, beautiful black shirt with our big blue logo on it for $20. So hit us up if you'd like to get one of those. And feedback at nerfherdercouncil.com. You can hit us up and let us know what you think. We always encourage all that kind of thing. Find us on Twitter at NHC Podcast. So once again, thanks for putting up with me ranting. Thank you, AJ and Steve, for covering me while I was out for a week. And
we limped that one across the finish line, man.
Well, I thought you guys did a good job.
Strangely enough, it got to a point where AJ and I were just looking around like, wait a minute, we're about hour and a half into this thing, and we've hit like 2 of the 12 points we were going after. So we really just put the thing in overdrive and hit like 10 points in the last 7 minutes of the show.
Hey, we wrote up the show synopsis, when we first started this entire thing back in December of 2015 as a free-form discussion. That was a very free form.
It was.
See, leading a show is not as easy as it seems. There is an art form to talking the most and trying to direct a conversation. Who knew I'd be able to do it?
It seems like part of it is not bringing up all the ideas in your head, because I just kept on sidetracking myself.
Right.
The last week was like the fanfic of
yeah.
Because George Lucas didn't sit in the head chair.
Nice. All right, guys. Anyway, thanks for checking us out again. We really appreciate it. Share with your friends. Tell everybody about us. Clicks, likes, and all that kind of stuff. We will see you next time. I'm your host, JT at Dog Pound Jedi. He's AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
He's Steve.
At JSteve1005.
And we will see you next time.
49 days to celebration.
Yes.
Bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my nerf herder.
You my nerf herder.